right, thank you everybody for coming. Also want to thank our good friends from Phillips Seafood. What a great place to have this press conference. Of course, Phillips is an iconic restaurant here in Baltimore. So we want to thank our friend Irene for hosting us. Also, I want to draw attention to a handsome gentleman right there. His name is Dave Cooley. And Dave Cooley was a critical part of the beginning of the Baltimore Marathon 17 years ago. And I just want to recognize him. So thank you for coming, Dave. 17 years of the Baltimore Marathon. They said we couldn't do it. They said it wouldn't happen. Even Milt wasn't so sold on it, but we sold him. We'll get to that in a minute. But what a great event this is for the community. Builds pride, gives Baltimore exposure around the country and around the world. And I'm proud to announce that this year we're going to put an even brighter light on the city of Baltimore and our great event as we move the finish line to Baltimore's iconic Inner Harbor. What a great backdrop it's going to be for all those finish line photos. Baltimore Inner Harbor, of course, is a world famous attraction, draws people from all over the country. The running community will come and enjoy our city now more than ever. This year we're poised to host about 24,000 runners. Runners from every state in the union will be here, as well as about 30 different countries. All those runners will remember that fantastic Inner Harbor scenery for sure. One of the truly special things about the Baltimore Marathon is the number of people and organizations that it takes to pull this off every year. One of the most important people is Catherine Pugh. When she was a city council person, she carried the ball across the finish line for us and helped dream this event up. When she was a state senator, she continued to support us. And now, as the mayor of Baltimore, she continues to swing open those doors of cooperation for us with all those city agencies that are so critical in bringing this event to life. Ladies and gentlemen, our mayor, Catherine Pugh.
Firstly, let me say thank you, and let me just say it is really exciting. As someone said when I walked in, your baby is now a senior in high school. And I was talking to Jack Young, President of City Council, before I got here, and I said, are you coming to the press conference? And I know he'll be here next year. Because when I decided that the city needed a marathon, I began my discussion with then Mayor Martin O'Malley, and I said the city needs its own marathon. At that time, his wife was planning on running a DC marathon, and I said to her, why are you running the DC marathon? And Dave Cooley, you remember when we used to have the Maryland Marathon, which I ran twice. The Maryland Marathon, I think I ran my first one in 3:19. And I'll never forget asking if anybody thought I could finish in the top 10. And at that time, I think I finished in 17th. And the race director said, I don't think so. But I want you to know that I finished 9th with a time of 3:09. So those days, however, are long gone. I don't run 3:09 marathons anymore. I don't run 37-minute 10Ks, and I don't run 18:02 5Ks either. But I do get up every morning and run at least 4 to 5 times a week. But let me just say, when we had this discussion, and I was talking to then Martin O'Malley as the mayor, he says, as he used to always say to me when we did the Fish Out of Water project and a number of other projects, just do it. Even though we have been supported over years by Under Armour, sounded like Nike to me. But I said, okay, we'll get it done. And then we assembled a really great group of people. The city council at that time, I think Jack recalls, actually passed my resolution that Baltimore needs its own marathon. And they were actually, I convinced at that time, the four individuals who were on the city council. It was Jack Young, Stephanie Rollins Blake, Sheila Dixon, and who else? Oh, Kiefer Mitchell. They were the 4 members of that team. Somehow they were disqualified. That's a story for another time. But it was a great event then. And the reason I point that out is because we started out with 6,600 people. And there were several companies who vied to manage our marathon. And we chose, and I never forget asking Martin, did he want to participate in the selection process? And he said, no, you go ahead and do it. And we selected Cargan Sports. And Corrigan Sports went above and beyond the concept of what we wanted in a marathon. The only thing that I mentioned was that we wanted to be able to have something for everybody. That we also didn't want to run on a Sunday because I go to church on Sunday. And we also wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable coming to Baltimore. And I said maybe we might want to do a team thing and a half marathon because we want people of all ages to, in all areas of running, to be able to participate. And so what Corrigan Sports created for Baltimore, I believe, is above and beyond any concept that anybody could have had for a marathon in Baltimore. Our first marathon was 6,600 people. Today we're 25,000 plus. I remember us doing the first analysis of the impact of the first race that we did in Baltimore, and it was $8 million. Today, it's over $40 million impact that this marathon has on Baltimore City. So we're very excited, and you've heard people come from every city and every state in the country and 30 other countries around the world. And so as people have a tendency to forget, there's some great things happening in Baltimore, and I look forward to the continued greatness of our city. But I am so excited that this marathon now turns 17 years of age. You don't get there by yourself. You get there with the help of all the agencies and so forth that have participated in making this event so great. The Baltimore Office of Promotion and Arts, our police department, our transportation department. There's so many organizations, including Parks and Recreation, that play a part in making sure that this is the best marathon in the nation. At least we think it is. And so I know that I'll never forget the first marathon, because I did run the first one, where people started off by saying, because we had the big leaflet, saying as they would run by me, "Oh, thank you for the marathon, thank you for the marathon." By the end, they were looking at me like, "Are you nuts?" Because Baltimore is a very hilly city. And this marathon and Corrigan Sports has transformed it over the years. And I think that this finish line really is representative of Baltimore. And people get to see all parts of our city. Neighborhoods will come out. We let them know way in advance, get ready, get prepared, learn the route so that you're not stuck in any one particular location as we wind our way through the city of Baltimore. So again, I'm excited in our 17th year. I'm looking forward to our 20th year and so on and so on. But again, a big congratulations to Corrigan Sports for all of the work that you do and the impact that you have on our city. As of last year, more than $12 million has been raised for local charities since the inception of this event. We will focus our efforts on making sure that there's some nonprofit organizations, small groups that are doing some great things in the city, like Squeegee Corps and like our Teen Biz Challenge, and looking at what we do for the homeless. Because my belief is that when we lift the least, we lift all of us. Again, I'm really excited to be here today. And let me now introduce our Department of Transportation Director, Michelle Bouchard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I'm really excited to be here and be at the opposite end of the spectrum, to be a new Baltimore resident enjoying the marathon for the first time. And I'm not going to run. I'll probably walk, though, but I'm not going to run. And so I want to thank you for having me today and just say that we're really excited about the new route. The special events team in the department, as always, will do a fabulous job. I'm quite impressed every time I go to an event here and see the work of the team in the department and of the whole government. But the route is a little different this year, and so there'll be more impacts on Pratt Street. We'll be sending out notifications via email, via social media, and we know the press will be joining with us to alert folks. We're working with our partners down here in downtown, on the waterfront, in the harbor, to make sure that we're seamless and invisible. But we know that there's not going to be a lot of congestion because people are going to come to the event.
Yes.
They're going to come early, they're going to stay late, so we encourage you to come. If you need to move around the city that day and the downtown area, look at alternative transportation first and foremost. But it'll be a really exciting day, and stay tuned for the new provisions in terms of circulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I know what the media is thinking. The media is saying, come on, explain all this to me, Lee. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take the microphone over here, and I'm going to take it to these big maps here, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing. Here is a map of our fabulous Baltimore's famed Inner Harbor, and our finish line is going to be right here along Pratt Street, right between Charles and Light Street. Okay, the runners will finish in this direction. They'll come through the runners compound. Our friends from ShopRite help out with that, of course. They'll cross over into the Inner Harbor proper. Of course, they'll come down in the Celebration Village. The first thing they'll hit is the Under Armour Recovery Zone, which Under Armour will be helping those runners to recover. Of course, we're right down here at the Visitor Center in West Shore Park, which will host our main stage. We'll have concessions here, vendor row, beer, ice cold beer at a reasonable price, free for the runners. And then they will continue around the corner at the Maryland Science Center over through the Kids Fun Zone, which is where the Kids Fun Run will be occurring, both starting and finishing right here on the promenade. And then in Rash Field is where we'll have all those charity tents. Of course, Under Armour will be there with a big setup, and our good friends Signal 13 will be there as well, of Baltimore Police City Foundation, which helps out officers in need. And of course, we'll have an ice cold beer for them over there. So that is what that's going to look like. The next step of this, of course, is, well, how did you get there? Well, we had to do some finagling with the course. A couple things I would like to point out. Number one, Camden Yards is where we're starting still. Right there in front of Pickles Pub and Camden Yards will be the start, or may be the start. Great news for us is we pick up a lot of parking here at the Maryland Sports Authority complex, which is very important. We had the Jimmy with the route right up here in Hillen Road, and that is our friend Milton Corbett had that suggestion, which was a great one, and that takes care of a lot of traffic challenges up there. So when we come out of Lake Montebello, we'll be going up Hillen Road to about Merville, coming back, and then a lot of this remains the same. And then this is where the difference really takes place, and that is we're going to come down Maryland Avenue now. You may recall that we came down Utah Plaza and came straight through to the Maryland Sports Authority complex, of course, through the warehouse, through the baseball park, and we finished right before you got to Raven Stadium, right on Ravens Walk. However, this year we're going to jump over to Cathedral Street. Maryland Ave turns into Cathedral Street, then turns into North Liberty Street, then turns into Hopkins Plaza right there next to the Baltimore Arena. And then we get the left-hand turn right there across the street from the Convention Center. And then we run straight down one of Baltimore's most iconic roads, and that is Pratt Street, right there to the finish line. There are a ton of people to thank for this. Number one, I got to thank my guy back there in the yellow and the blue blazer, Mr. Matt Florio on our team, who worked tirelessly with Milt Corbett and Joe Fuca, my main man Joe Fuca, and working out this course. And I can't give enough credit to those city agencies, Mayor, that have been so important to us. And the magic wand of cooperation is what makes this work. And these guys do it with a smile on their face, and they're believers, and they're great advocates for the city. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to work with these guys. The next part of the event that I'm really excited about, and is certainly worth mentioning here, is the ShopRite 5K. The ShopRite 5K, as you may recall, used to start right at the Camden Yards and run straight uphill. Didn't make us very popular with the runners, and it did. So now we've changed it, and this is Milt Corbett's idea, by the way, to a flat, fast, and gorgeous course right around the Inner Harbor. We're going to start here right at McKeldin Square, run down to the Maryland Science Center, take a left, run down Key Highway, get here to the Baltimore Museum of Industry. We'll take a U-turn and we'll head on back. This is where it gets interesting. We'll run straight across Hughes to Charles Street, up Charles Street, and then we'll take the right onto Pratt Street and finish once again at the exact same finish line that everybody else finishes. This happens at 7:30. So that is an important part of our race, and that has been an incredibly popular part of our event as well. It's sold out every single year that we've had it, and this year it's going to sell out even faster, of course. So we're very, very excited about that. I'd like to recognize some very important people once again. Our buddy Milt, thank you so much for everything you do. Joe Fuca, you've been here for 17 years helping us along with this, and we really appreciate your efforts. And we couldn't do it without the magic wand of cooperation from the City of Baltimore Police Department. And Commissioner Kevin Davis isn't here today, but Daryl D'Souza, Deputy Commissioner Daryl D'Souza is here, and I'd like to ask him to come up and say a few words.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can't believe it's 17 years since the first marathon, and I remember 17 years ago, I think I was a young sergeant in Northeast Baltimore without any gray hair. And I'll be honest with you, I never ran a full marathon here in 17 years in Baltimore. I'm more like the 5K person. And although I did have a birthday yesterday, and I won't tell you guys what my age is, but the course is designed more for people my age to compete. So, but I say all to say, ma'am, thank you so much for being one of the pioneers. Thank you, Milton. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Signal 13 Foundation. And thank you for the city in whole, because one thing I've learned in my almost 30 years with the police department is that you can't get anything done without partnership. And this is what you call, this is an example of partnership and strategic partnership. So having said that, the police department, we canceled our leave for the marathon. We're going to be fully deployed, not just downtown, but each of the districts where the marathon has a piece to it. So in addition to the officers that you'll see deployed in full uniform, you'll see officers on horseback, you'll see officers on motorcycles, you'll see officers on bikes. What you won't see is the officers in plain clothes that's also going to be strategically deployed around the marathon route. So we're really excited. The Baltimore Police Department is really excited. One thing you don't know is that the officers share on a regular basis that this is probably one of the events that they look forward to each year, just to watch the runners, just to see the excitement on the runner's face and to the excitement of the community in which they run through. So we're ready, we're excited, and again, we just want to thank you, Mr. Corrigan, Madam Mayor. We want to thank you so much, especially for being a pioneer. And I'll take you up on the challenge one day. and although I'm much older now, and I'll take a challenge for anybody my time is
We have two officers now that have been hurt since they've been running with me in the morning, so okay.
Okay, that sounds like a challenge to me. I'll leave it at that, ma'am. But thank you, and we're really excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Daryl. Another very important person in the Baltimore Police Department, and she's here today, and that's Casey Zellers. Where are you, Casey? Please give him a wave. There she is, straight back in the room. She works really closely with Milt Corbett, and we all know that she's the brains of the operation. You're the looks, babe. Yes. Also important to the process of moving to the Inner Harbor were our good friends at BOPA. I can't thank Bill Gilmore and Roz Healy, Tracy, Bob Sicard. I know that Sheila's here as well. Thank you so much for all your support over the years. The Downtown Partnership welcomed us with open arms. Kirby Fowler, Mike Evans, Lauren Hamilton, Megan Eisenach. The Waterfront Partnership, Lori Schwartz, Lauren Maloney, and Eric Souza, who's here today. They've been great. And of course, our friends from Visit Baltimore, who certainly recognize that this move is probably going to move that needle, that economic impact needle, because we're going to be able to attract more out-of-towners that they know, now that they know that the event will be finishing at the Baltimore Inner Harbor. Also want to thank our friend Liz Fitzsimmons. I pitched Liz about, 18 years ago. She goes, "You're crazy." But she said, "Go ahead, we'll support you. Good luck." So I want to thank her from the state so much. And also a couple sponsors that I saw walk in from Columbia Bank who are making some big moves in Baltimore. That's Joe Durham and Brad. So thank you so much for your support. this time, we'll be happy to take any questions that you may have, and so let them rip, Brett.
Me first?
Sure.
First one will be for Madam Mayor. You talked about this from an economic standpoint of the city, but the growth and getting people here and to see the city in perhaps a different limelight, can you kind of touch on what that means for everyone in the city?
Oh, it certainly means a great deal. I mean, first of all, it's an economic generator. It's showing Baltimore in a different light. One of our station, WBAL, has taken this on as just, I feel like their personal responsibility to broadcast live. That is unheard of in the nation. And to have that kind of viewership of Baltimore, I mean, you really get to see some great neighborhoods and great communities. And oftentimes when Baltimore is promoted, you just see row houses, and row houses are a part of Baltimore, but so are condominiums, so are single-family homes, and people get to see all of that. So is the art museums, the harbor is a part of it, but you get to see so many aspects of our city. So it shows Baltimore in such a wonderful light that it excites me every time I get to see it. I also get to look at it a little bit from the TV perspective, having been a news reporter, to really appreciate what you all do, and thank you.
And Madam Mayor, can I follow up on that? The idea of the Celebration Village being there at the Inner Harbor, it's a lot nicer than being, I think, on a parking lot or under an overpass.
Well, I
And
think
that's really cool, right?
Well, I think that when people think about Baltimore, especially out-of-towners, you'll hear them say, we're going to the Inner Harbor. Now to be able to promote that you're finishing the marathon in the Inner Harbor, I believe, as Lee does, that it certainly will attract more runners to our city. I don't know where we're going to put them all, because we are at 25,000 plus, but we'll figure it out. And certainly Pratt Street is large enough to accommodate that, and the Inner Harbor certainly is as well.
But you know what the beer sponsor is going to be at Rashfield?
I'm sure he does.
Of course, that's very, very high on my priority list. Dogfish beer will be the beer this year, which we're excited about. We'll also have a signature cocktail for the first time this year as well.
Can you divulge?
I can't. I'd like to, but I can't.
You could probably persuade him afterwards.
Testing.
Okay.
All right. Well, we welcome everybody to stay and join us for a little bite to eat, and also would remind everybody that we'll be back for another press conference the Thursday of event week to talk about the charities and some of the other great aspects of this event, and we'll certainly update you on how this announcement is impacting runner numbers. So thank you all very much for coming. Thanks.
Thank you.